Thank you very, very much. I'm very happy to be here in front of you today in this celebration of the Carnation Revolution. It was a very big honor for me and for our delegation to be here today and to demonstrate with you against austerity, against Troika, against memorandum, for more democracy, for real democracy, for more social cohesion. Even though I'm a little bit tired because today I made a big trip. And I had to travel from the northeast of Europe to the northwest, but I had to be here only via Frankfurt. If we want to be connected, we have to ask our friends and partners in the European Union, the Germans. So this is a problem. I think that we have to be directly connected without the help of our partners of the North. So, comrades and friends, it was not long ago, it was the 2nd of March, as I think, that from my office in Athens, I began to hum Grandola Villa Morena, participating myself, just like the entire Europe was doing at the time, in your loud battle cry against austerity, in your loud battle cry for democracy and justice. In the streets of Lisbon, of Porto, of Coimbra, in the streets of Portugal, the entire Europe heard the sound of change that we all long for, that we fight for, and that will certainly come about. And tonight, we are promising that united we will fight the dictatorship of our times, which is not a national one. It is not dictatura nacional, which is not political in origin, imposed by the armed forces, but it is a European and an economic one, and is imposed by the almighty markets. United, we will put an end to the conservative neoliberal Estado Novo of economic deprivation, destruction, and poverty, while they are imposed on us, ironically, in the name of our country's salvation. United, we will fight austerity, and we shall overcome. Back in the middle 70s, Portugal, Greece, and Spain, all three of us were admired across Europe as paradigm cases of transition from dictatorship to democracy. Feel certain that soon, all three of us, we will once again be admired as paradigm cases for transition from austerity to democracy. The bond that ties us is stronger than geography. It is recent history. It is common cause, common destiny, and the realization of it. It is also shared experience from the collapse of the imposed policies of internal devaluation. A devaluation has been, but there was a devaluation of our lives. And it was successful indeed. Unemployment is exploding, and particularly long-term unemployment, with the danger to create a permanent class of long-term jobless Portuguese, Greeks, and Spaniards. Poverty is engulfing broader social sectors. A humanitarian crisis is looming large. At the same time, recession raises public deficits and debts, as a percentage of GDP, according to the Eurostat relevant data for 2012, published last Monday. Dear comrades and friends, the victor of the 1930s Great Depression in the United States, Franklin Roosevelt, gave us his firm belief in the first inaugural address in 1933. He said, "The only fear we have to fear is the fear itself." So I'm telling you now, when united, Europe's South is stronger than Mrs. Merkel and her allies. While each one of us, as a separate entity, is weightless for the whole of the Eurozone, systemically unimportant, together and unison we can tilt the European balance of political power to our side. We pass through the austerity door in succession, we will exit it jointly. United, we can pave the way for a realistic, just and viable collective solution of Eurozone's debt crisis, calling for a European debt conference modeled upon the 1953 London Debt Conference, which relieved Germany of the economic burden of its own past, helped rebuild the post-war German democracy, and opened the road to the economic success of the country. Along those lines, there is a way out of the self-feeding Eurozone crisis, and that requires, first, abolishment of the Memoranda of Understanding with the Troika in the South, and replacing recessionary austerity with income redistributing, demand-enhancing policies. Second, a renegotiation of the bilateral loan agreements with the common purpose of writing off a significant portion of outstanding public debts, including a growth clause for the repayment of the remaining debt portions, as well as moratorium on debt servicing for a considerable period of time. And third, a decision of a new deal for Europe centered on European-wide public investment projects. We cannot and we shall not accept further austerity measures, new cuts in public spending, further degradation of our social infrastructure, or any bail-in solutions modeled on the sacrifice of bank deposits in Cyprus. Dear comrades and friends, it is for all these reasons that our best interests dictate to cooperate and coordinate initiatives and actions. Separated, we will be defeated. We will also lose if we revert to economic isolationism and to the past of competitive devaluations of national currencies. It is for the same reasons that the issue of political power and national government has become of critical importance. The question who governs in the countries of the South largely determines what political direction the Eurozone takes. I think that the time is ripe for governments in Europe South that will throw the Memoranda of Understanding into history's waste bin. Just last Monday, a former Prime Minister of your country and now President of the European Commission, Manuel Barroso, he himself admitted that austerity had reached its limits. I don't know why he admitted, maybe because recession has now reached the north of Europe. But who have been saying it all along, the Bloco de Esquerda in your country, the Izquierda Unida in Spain, Syriza in Greece, the party of the European left in whole Europe. And now Mr. Barroso confirms it himself. He confirms that there is no austerity success story. But along with austerity, the conservative and neoliberal social democratic political forces, which imposed austerity on the peoples of the South, have also reached their limits. And now I believe that they have to go. The Troika, when it came, told to us, this is the medicine, you have to drink it, there is no alternative. But the people now in the South are rising up and telling to the Troika, this is the emergency exit door. There is no alternative. You failed, you have to go. We need political change in the South, and we need it now. We need it now. We need it now because now we all know that it was a lie that each one of us has been a special case of economic mismanagement. Instead, we have formed the three successive chapters of the same case study titled The Imposition of German Economic Hegemony on Europe. We all know now that our strength lies in our unity. It is the only effective response to Mrs. Merkel's insistence on divide and rule policies, policies which have forced the Eurozone to be teetering on the brink of ruin, because what these policies do is that they add new divisions to those already in place since its asymmetric operation for a decade now. Divisions which rendered the monetary union perversely operational deficits in the South and their mirror image surpluses in the North, so that Europe South fulfills its role as a market for German exports. In this way, the North-South competitiveness gap increases, for which those who benefited from our deficits are now blaming us for presumably being lazy free riders on a spending spree. A new mostly overlapping dividing line emerged in the Eurozone over the last 3 years, that between the creditor member states and the debtors. Now, the new creditors are enforcing the policies of blunt austerity, which was deepening social divisions in the South between, on the one hand, the one-third of those who believe as if there is no crisis, who behave as there is no crisis, and on the other hand, two-thirds, which suffer every day more and more, and thus forming what we call societies of two-thirds. But as the recession engulfs the Eurozone, austerity now alarms the most vulnerable in the North too. It does so in a way that reaction to it goes beyond the nation-state and creates the conditions for an alliance of social forces at the European level. Austerity harms the working people regardless of their address. For that reason, the anti-austerity, anti-memoranda alliance of the South should also encompass those social forces in the North which reject austerity. It will be a European alliance for the democratic refoundation of the monetary union. So, dear comrades and friends, on the 25th of April, 1974, you triggered the collapse of dictatorial rule in the south of Europe. You started it, Greece followed, and then Spain returned to democracy. You can now pave the way for a new Mediterranean spring. We need a new Mediterranean spring of the people. A progressive change in any of our three countries incites a change in the same direction in the other two. Three great victories in the South will change the course of Europe. I believe that we can do it, and we will do it. Greek voters almost quadrupled Syriza's electoral power last year. So do the same with the Bloco here in Portugal. I believe that you can do it. Next year, on the 50th anniversary of the Coronation Revolution, this is a promise. Greece will be Troika-free. The people and Syriza will be in power. This is a promise. It will be our own modest contribution to the celebration of a historic event for Europe. Portugal can be and will be a Troika-free as well. Spain could be the same. Ireland, Cyprus could be the same. Dear comrades, I believe that we can make it. I believe that we will make it. United, we could win, and we will win. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much.